Valent shows up in the defendant lobby, only to tell Trucy that he won't be revealing his trick in court. Because why would an old family friend be of any help? A bailiff explains that the trial has been slightly delayed as the judge is visiting the Chief Justice's son again. He hands Apollo a newspaper stating that the kid has incuritis. Your mind should be connecting the dots now, but this interaction feels a bit shoehorned in. Personally, I would have had the judge name the disease on the first trial day, but I suppose it's not this case's worst mistake. Clavier and the judge go over the end of yesterday's trial. The victim, Romaine Latouche, was revealed to be an Interpol agent, and Labrador claimed that she heard Darian's voice at the time of his murder. Clavier maintains that his bandmate has an alibi, as the crime happened while he was on stage. Since nobody new can testify to the court, the judge is just about ready to declare a verdict. But there is one person that hasn't been questioned. Not counting any extra band members. Although it's established that each of the acts had 5 parts, everyone relevant to the case has already shown up. Yet another missed opportunity. The witness is, of course, Maki Dobai, who hasn't spoken yet because he can't speak English. Lammermoor is called as his interpreter, as she's on his side anyway, and so shouldn't have a need to lie. This is the series' first time having 2 people on the stand at once, and I will say that it's used in a couple interesting ways here. Lammermoor doesn't just translate, sometimes she speaks for Maki, and, as we shall see, she lies for him. Maki's first defense is that, since her song's lyrics are in English, he couldn't have followed them. Apollo's bracelet reacts immediately, and he presses Maki on how he knew the crime followed the lyrics at all. Maki claims that he'd read about the lyrics in the Virginian Daily Bugle, but Apollo shows the copy he got from Clavier's office, sans any mention of the lyrics. Clavier confirms that the police didn't ask about the lyrics either. Lammermoor says that she told Maki the crime's relation to her song, but Apollo's bracelet reacts yet again. This time, Lammermoor is on the ropes, and Apollo gets her and Maki to admit the truth. Maki speaks English. Maki maintains that he didn't kill Romaine, but he was in the dressing room after the crime. When he heard Apollo and Emma nearby, he escaped the room through the air vent. There's not much else he can discuss related to the murder, and he doesn't wish to speak about the cocoon smuggling that Apollo wanted him to yesterday. The judge declares a recess. Maki elaborates in the defendant lobby that, while he was in the dressing room, he heard gunshots and fled through the air vent. A magician, we ought to know who, told him that the vent would lead backstage. The recess ends, and Apollo has an idea. Lammermoor was attacked yesterday, and the only thing that would give someone a motive to is her testimony. Lammermoor's testimony stays the same, however, and there's not much to glean from it. Apollo asks what she heard specifically, and she was able to make out just one phrase.
It's over. Press the switch, now.
Apollo shows the switch, which was found on stage, not in the dressing room. He argues that the voice was talking to someone on the stage, and the headsets prove that it was possible to relay such a command. There's no proof that the switch was on the stage at the time, and no information on what the switch is for, at least none that Clavier knows. Apollo pulls out the igniter, and Clavier recognizes it well enough. Apollo argues that the switch set off the igniter inside Clavier's guitar, by extension, arguing that the voice was heard during the guitar's serenade, meaning that the murder happened during Lammermoor's ballad, and not the third set. The judge isn't convinced. After all, the crime occurring during the second set would contradict the order of the song's lyrics. But what if that's the point? The killer could have manipulated the events to make it seem like the crime followed the song's lyrics specifically because they had an alibi for the concert's third set, but not the second. Clavier has a few objections. For one, the window Lammermoor insists she witnessed the crime through was closed. This is easy to turn around, though. The window she's been referring to was actually the air vent. But why would she be in the air vent? She claims that she was there during the performance, but can say no more. Given what Maki said earlier, it should be clear what she was traveling through the ducts. The song doesn't need to be shown again, but it shows that she was hidden from view during most of the song. Apollo shows the venue's diagram, as well as the music video a few more times, revealing the possibility that Lammermoor had a body double in Valent, and that she was in hiding in the ducts for the majority of her performance, with plenty of time to hear the crime. The fact that Lammermoor dropped the brooch through the vent proves that she was in the ducts for the first half of the song, while Valent was on stage. She was still singing in there, but the dressing room had a speaker loud enough to mask her above. It was hard to mask her shock upon hearing the gunshots, though, and the video is played once more to remind everyone that she missed one of her lyrics entirely. Sorry, the video is played twice more. Clavier notes that Lammermoor could still be lying to protect Maki, but agrees that it's finally time to question Darian. Given that I plan to cover all this case's twists at the end of the trial, I'll just comment on the gameplay here. Although it doesn't advance the story much per se, proving Maki and Lammermoor to be more suspicious in one moment and less suspicious the next is an entertaining and chaotic way to arrive at the current junction. Apollo isn't just refuting Clavier's objections, but to his own arguments, and even to the defendants and those of the witness who's trying to help him. Connecting the switch and igniter with Lammermoor's words is a neat way to turn the case around all at once, finally lending her credibility and giving Apollo a case. I'd also like to note that, for once, the court gives the defense a bit of a break. While Lammermoor's testimony can't be proven at this time, everyone all but assumes it's true in order to work out the show's magic trick and so on. Of course, break time is over, and the kid gloves are off. Darian certainly will not be nearly as agreeable as Lammermoor was, or even Maki,